Croeso I sianel Blaid Llwyd. Yes, welcome home to Beyond the Harbour. This is the new update, which just came out the other week. So we're going to be playing through this one as a midweek video, and don't forget there will be more from Ollie coming up on the weekend. It's been a while since we've done this one, but I'm sure you'll remember where we got to. So let's pick up with the new chapter here. The cold, gentle moonlight illuminates my face as I attempt to read the hastily scrawled note in front of me. After midnight, beach alone. Despite probably being the least important thing I gleaned from it, the first thing I noticed was how tiny and neat the lizard's handwriting was. His handwriting was particularly girlish, for lack of a better term. I pass under another lone street light as I neatly fold the note and place it back in my pocket. Hey, what's that? I jump as the cat's voice pulls me from my thoughts. Ah! I crumple the note and shove it back into my pocket with as much haste as I can afford. What? He chuckles. You were staring at something, weren't you? Something important, no doubt, considering how intensely you were looking at it. I put on a fake smile. Oh, that. Nah, just some trash I had in my pocket. He cocks an eyebrow. Just trash? Yeah, Mama wrote me a grocery list last week and I held on to it, I guess. Aha. His grin returns in full force. That must be an intense grocery list. A bead of sweat rolls down my forehead as I try to come up with some panicked excuse, when suddenly... It's in Spanish. I wipe my forehead. My Spanish is really rusty. But Mama insists I practice, you know. He places a finger on his chin. Ah, is that so? He squints his eyes. His cheeky grin widens. He takes a step closer to me. Well, I think that's pretty stupid. I try to lean back on the wall. If very closer, it would have merged to become a single being. Makes me think of back when I was a kid. Mom and I flew out of the country for the first time, all the way over to Hong Kong. Her brother or something had died. I don't remember. Didn't care. Something about face. But while I was there, I met my grandmother for the first time. He takes a mirthful step back, giving me a bit of room to breathe as he elaborates completely unprompted. That woman's absolutely insufferable. Barely spoke English, spent most of the time waggling a finger at me. Mom obviously hated her too. Nearly as soon as we arrived, they had an argument. She took off, leaving me with her. She didn't say anything before she left. I was just sort of stranded. He pauses for a moment. Fuck that bitch. Anyways, my grandma decided that she's my primary caretaker now and put me right on a Cantonese regiment. I, of course, had zero interest in learning the useless language. I stare at him. Surely you're being useless. I mean, if your family speaks it. Like I said, useless. I frown. Okay. He shrugs his shoulders, blowing out a small sigh as he does. She sit me down in the windowless room and forced me to practice the alphabet. Well, that shit was miserable. I hated just about every second of it. His voice trails off, and after about 40 seconds of silence, I chime back in. So, what did you do? He snaps back, returning from his short trip down memory lane. Nothing. I blink. Nothing? Yeah. I was just sort of stuck there. I had to obey if I wanted to keep getting fed and whatever. If I wanted to eat, I had to ask for it in a stupid language. I lasted about 40 hours in that room before I cracked. So determined too. I'd convinced myself I'd drop dead in that room, that awful woman's head would roll. After a few days, I began to lose track of time. I furrowed my brow, but he continues before I could interject. Eventually, Mom came back to pick me up. Pretty sure that bitch wanted to keep me there for more than just the summer, but Mom said no. They got into another huge argument. Mom won out in the end, of course. I'm here now, aren't I? I folded my arms. And that was the end of it. His gaze grows a little more distant as he continues to remember. She tried to convince me to stay with her, said it was my choice. Little Samuel, you would miss your sweet grandmother if you left her alone, wouldn't you? She said. His trademark smirk returned to his face in full force. I responded, I can't understand you, you stupid bitch. He laughs, leaving me completely out of the loop. Yeah, what does that mean? He opens one eye as he stares me down, a sly smile adorning his face. Don't worry about it, detective. It's not relevant to the case, I promise. He takes another step closer to me. You know, I haven't told that story in a long time. You got this thing about you that I really like. I brace myself as he takes another step, inching yet closer to my face. You're kind of a dullard. Even when you're trying your best to be deceitful, you got this genuine quality to you. And you got such a pretty face. His final step forward is the most brazen yet. I feel his wet breath on my nose. I remain silent, trying to keep my expression neutral as he reaches a wayward hand out towards me. Heh. Takes almost all of my willpower to not flinch as his finger brushes against my cheek. Are you not used to getting compliments? He pulls away, revealing a single tear, now stuck to his finger. Guys typically don't cry when someone says something nice to them. More surprised than the cat, I reach up to my own face and feel that familiar wetness. What the? He chuckled, shrugging again. Just as surprised as me? I close my eyes, causing more tears to slide down my cheeks. I didn't realize, no. I shake my head. I was nervous, sure, but I think I'm going to go take a walk. You had plans? I blink, more tears streaming down my face as I do. What? It's already after midnight. I squint. I don't know what you're... What, you want me to come with you? Sorry, I'm going to have to pass. A Moonlight escape sounds romantic and all, but I have some other things to take care of. Okay. I fold my arms, but he just falls back onto his bed in response. Sorry, as much as I enjoy your company, some things just come first. I sigh. Well, if you insist... I'll be back in a little while. He limply waves at me as I pass his bed. Even now, as the events unfold in my memories, everything feels off. Sam is... strange. It's hard to get a read on anything he does. He jumps between being oddly genuine and absolutely full of shit. Am I out of my league? I raise my free hand to my cheek again, and sure enough, another tear. How unbelievably frustrating. I feel instant gratification as soon as my feet have left the pavement and dig into the sand at the beach. It's a little embarrassing, but I'd been in such a rush to escape the hotel room, I'd forgotten to put on my shoes. Wasn't exactly used to walking around barefoot, but whatever. I'll learn. Is it even a skill worth learning? Besides, the last time I was here, Sam and I took off our shoes anyway. I'd just be careful walking on the way back. I did pass some glass, but otherwise this little town was surprisingly litter-free. I'll have to be careful not to leave any bloody footprints tonight. Good evening. You know, I'm not usually one to talk to the moon, but I'm a drifter tonight too. And some part of me, deep down, feels right doing it. Get a hold of yourself, detective. Nothing good will come out of chatting up the moon, for fuck's sake. Heh. The cool evening breeze sweeps over the beach, strong enough to gently rustle my fur, but not quite enough to blow the sand I kick up as I walk. I'd always been afraid of travelling, of growing up. Mama was protective. She wanted to keep me safe, even if it meant missing out on some things most other kids did. I never went to camp, had a strict curfew, and she made sure she knew where I was whenever I went out. While I was planning this trip, I felt like shit lying to Mama. She seemed really proud of me for taking an opportunity, but I could tell she was worried to death about me. Why she hasn't tried to call me yet, I couldn't tell you. I hope she's okay. Maybe I'll send her a message in the morning. Oh, I'm sorry if I'm boring you. You probably heard millions of stories more interesting than mine, considering how long you've been around. A lot of colourful people in this world of yours, don't you think? Speaking of, there, silhouetted in the pale moonlight, stood the final witness. I can hear his heartbeat, even from here. The beautiful, chaotic rhythm of a man who'd been here all along. Just a short pace from the dock stood a tall silhouette, with rounded spikes resting atop his head in a neat row. I walked closer to him, but not wanting to startle the iguana, I cautiously called out to him in a small voice. Trevor, it's me, JC. I stand in place, waiting for a response that never comes. Trevor? I call out again, taking another step closer to him. But still, nothing. Not sure else I could say, I reach out to him and touch his shoulder. Stiff. Cold. Trevor? I walk in front of him, trying to get a good look at his face. It appears to be frozen, his wide green eyes reflecting the moon right back at me. I scan the beach for something, anything that could have caused him to freeze up like this, when I remember. The dock that My thoughts interrupted by a quiet whimper from the man just in front of me. My gaze is drawn immediately to his eye, still reflecting the moon back at me as a single tear rolls down from it. Was he... He sputters as he hunches over. Tonight is... He coughs violently. Trevor. I mumble quiet as he breathes heavily, a thin strand of drool leaking from the base of his lips. A little glint of light shines off of his tallest head spine as he slowly turns his head to face me. You... He doubles over, still out of breath. You... He shakes his head. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. He stands back up straight, wiping his face with his forearm as he does. I shake my head, stepping towards him. Please, it's okay. There's no need to apologize. Earlier I saw... I cough. I'm not the smartest guy on the planet, but I could see something else going on. You wanted to talk with me alone. I place a hand on my chest, resting my gaze as gently as I can onto the iguana. Thank you for trusting me, Trevor. An easy laugh escapes the iguana's throat. Please. He shakes his head. What matters is that you came. A small but genuine smile spreads across his face, and I feel the gravity of the situation slowly ease off of my heart. I think his is the first genuine smile I've seen since I arrived here. Trevor. I reach my hand out and place it on his shoulder. He flinches at first, but after he feels how soft my touch is, he eases up. Is everything okay? His pale green eyes stare back into mine for a moment before he closes them and slowly shakes his head. No, it isn't. He continues, eyes still closed. Ever since that... Nothing's been the same. I gently rub his shoulder. That... Do you mean Ollie's disappearance? He nods his head, his brow wrinkling as he does. Yeah. I want to help. I lift my right arm and place it on his other shoulder. That's the reason I'm here. I want to help things get back to normal. He frowns, opening his eyes back up. You said as much back at my house. But why? What do you have to gain from all of this? I blink. Well... I shrug my shoulders. I heard about the case online and I looked into it. Nothing added up for me. Next to no news coverage, no statements from the family. The police investigation formally ended only 2 days after he was reported missing. Nothing added up. I frown. And that didn't feel fair. After I'd arrived here, all of my suspicions felt even more justified. Nothing about this story adds up. Every time I learn something new about Oliver, 10 more questions pop up. I shudder as a particularly chilly breeze runs through my fur. If everything Sam's told me is true, Oliver is a social outcast, and has been for his entire life. That doesn't mean he deserves to just be forgotten about. I mean, for fuck's sake, he could still be out there somewhere. My lips curve into a smile. I want to try to save him, Trevor, just like you do. His eyes sink back towards the sand. I saw yesterday when he came up. There were genuine emotions. You care about him. You and I may be the last 2 people on this earth that do. He stares back at me, tears welling up in his eyes. He gulps. I followed him. There was something about him. He shakes his head. I felt something I'd never felt before when I saw him. I don't know how to describe it. I genuinely can't. I tilt my head as his voice trails off. Did you love him? He closes his eyes, tears rolling down his cheeks. I don't think so. It's more like I'm just not good at processing those sort of feelings. He shakes his head again, this time a bit more somber. I never shared even a single word with him. I used to watch him. His brow ridge twitches as he speaks. In school, I'd always stand away from him in the hallway. We never had any classes together, despite being in the same grade. I wish we did. He offers a slight chuckle. Maybe it's for the best we didn't. I already had a hard time focusing in school. Feeling his discomfort again, I give in to his desires and let go of his shoulders. I have to remember all of this to write down on my notebook later. It was strange. When I saw him, it felt like something inside me was waking up. That I could remember. He trails off there. I fold my arms and keep my eyes locked onto his. Remember? What did you remember? He shakes his head. Didn't make any sense, but I would sometimes remember things that never happened. I have memories of spending time with him. But bad memories. He turns away from me, instead looking out towards the bay. My dad, he knew who Ollie was. I fold my arms, not particularly happy with the sudden topic change, but making a mental note to ask about these memories again later. How so? The iguana lets out a long, raspy sigh. He chokes on his words, breathing out a sharp and immediate puff of air. My dad. I recoil in shock as his hand suddenly grasps onto his face and he begins shaking violently. No. He digs his finger deeper into his scales as he mumbles under his breath. Not now. The shaking slows down as the flow of time returns to normal. The intensity of the night air finally registers in my mind. My first instinct has been to rush forward, and the iguana begins to speak again, voice trembling as he does. My dad, he hated Ollie. He sighs again, visibly shaken as he does. He would complain about things I couldn't understand. He always complained, ever since Ollie's family moved here. He'd get home from work and... His words cut off at his throat. He used to hole up in his office and scream. I was afraid. Once I started following Ollie, my dad... You, what have you... Why have you... Why can I smell it on you too? My son, my own son! And after that, he started... He... His words catch again. This time the silence is followed by a loud creak. The iguana's body then doubles over. Without a single thought, my feet move and I rush forward to catch him. The impact is heavy, his thoroughly abused body crumbling under its own weight. Using all the strength I can muster, I hold him there as tight as I can. There's a long period of silence as neither of us dare speak. The only sound I can hear over the waves is the pumping of my heart in my ears, adjusting to beat in tune with the man I was holding. There was a beautiful simplicity in our embrace, one that could potentially heal. I feel the warmth of his tears soak into my shirt, a solemn reminder of my role in all of this. And after the moon-soaked melancholy fully sets in, I return his motion, wrapping my own arms around his body. His arms tremble, grasping for whatever support I can offer. There's another, much softer grip on my shoulder, though. I turn my head to look, but the pale glow of the moonlight highlights it for what may be the first time, revealing the tender grip of the lonely heart. There, torn from the heavens, the brilliant soul of another makes its solemn plea plain to me. Another warm tear rolls down my cheek, mouth left agape by the chilling beauty of the fractured voice. I gave it an answer, the only way my petrified body could. I wished that I could still save him. I wished it with all of my heart. I remain still as I feel an unexpected cool sensation cascade down my back. Cold. Wet. My head. No, focus. Focus, detective. Hear you anymore. I can feel him. He's close. Oliver? So close. Oliver? Are you there? Guide me, please. Show me once again. There you are. My eyes are open again. I'm greeted by the bright white fur of a face that remains familiar. Oliver? Did you pass out? I didn't. She looks down at me, confused but relieved. I wanted to make sure you weren't. Your eyes were open, but you didn't look like you were all there. She shakes her head before taking a seat next to me. Any idea why you're so tired? My eyelids begin to sink as I sigh. Not really. There's an audible pop as my bottom jaw loosens. Just tired. We sit in silence for a moment before she breaks it with a sigh. Not sure what I was expecting, honestly. I've known you for most of my life, and yet... She pauses, considering her words. Maybe it's a little too forward, but seeing you again has got me remembering a lot. You've always been distant. You've never opened up without me telling you to. Even if it was your own good, it never felt right to pry. Back then... My eyes remained fixed on the nearby trash can as she speaks. Back then, I was obsessed with the future. Mostly my future, but I cared a lot about yours, too. You had a spark. Something was different about you, I could tell. As we got older, that light vanished. I closed my eyes. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have brought this up now of all times. You're probably going through a lot too, and I tend to overanalyze things. Damn, you think? I shake my head. I know, it's okay. I probably deserve it. There's relative quiet for a moment before I hear her voice pick back up. You know, I was thinking earlier. If I'd gone you up earlier, we could have stopped by Sirens, on my treat. My brain stutters and I blink. Didn't we go there before we came here? I turn my head, reconnecting our gazes. She has a deep look of confusion in her eyes. The cafe? No. I woke you up at home. We drove out here to the bus station. We didn't have time to go to the cafe. Don's bus was going to arrive around 1. I tried to recall the events of this morning, but there's a deep wriggling sensation inside my brain, memories being whisked and beaten together. I went out to the cafe to meet you, but you were running late. Eh? She cuts me off, audibly confused. What are you talking about? Are you trying to gaslight me or something? She frowns. Because honestly, you're kind of terrible at it. I rub my temples, closing my eyes and trying my hardest to remember. I waited outside with... The names deep within my clouded mind were fragments of what they used to be, just on the tip of my tongue, and yet... Wasn't Wasn't Sam here? The bear looks back at me, puzzled. Sam? Sam who? I rub my forehead. Sam, the cat. Her eyes widen. Samuel Wong? The tone of her voice raises significantly as that name passes her lips. From high school? Why the hell would I ever hang out with that creep? She folds her arms, squinting at me in disgust. Let alone invite him to my grandfather's service? I shake my head, trying to remember. You didn't. He stayed the night with me last night and invited himself. I was... Broken memories continue leaking out of my mouth. He tried to kiss me, but the towel and... The bear's brow folds inwards, her lips pursed. Do you have some kind of trauma you're experiencing right now? Are you okay? I can't. I'm beset by another spell of dizziness, this time more intense than the last. More vague, faceless people pass as we sit in silence, neither of us even making eye contact. Don... Ollie? I remain silent as her voice trails off again. Trevor? No. I've never known anyone named Trevor. Why do I... Ollie, please, for the love of God, can you tell me what's going on with you? I shake my head. No, I'm sorry. I can only do my best to shake away the lingering doubt in my mind. I'm just really confused right now. The bear sitting beside me sighs and I feel some tension melt off of her. That's what I was talking about. Every time I tried to reach out to you, both of you, you'd always just swap me away. I hold my head in my hands and scoot away. Just give me a minute. She only sighs again, folding her arms and pointing her nose to the sky. We sit like that for a while, the ambience of the buses coming and going the only other constant. Then I feel an old ache start to tear its way through my veins again. My neck cracks loudly as I lift my head in haste, suddenly aware of the arrival. He's here. Shortly following my head, my body jumps up to alert. Is it time? My tail follows the trend, stiffening between my legs. I know what's coming. Yeah, I feel it too. My arm raises, my long bony index finger uncurling as it does. It's all hollow. No other arms raise in sync with mine. No other fingers mark the destination. I am alone. The bear sitting beside me watches, her eyes cold and distant. We watch as the door of that blue bus opens. More faceless people of various shapes and sizes exit. Nobody worth remembering. Then the flow of nobody stops altogether. My heart sinks into my stomach. I've been here before. I know exactly how this goes, and yet... Silence. The whole bus station goes silent for an entire moment. There, amidst the silence, another figure stands in the doorway. No. Not you. Anyone but you. And there we go. That was Chapter 4. And if you're watching this series but you didn't watch the original Beyond the Harbour series, now would actually be a good time to go back and pick it up, or you can actually play through this version of the VN, and after I think it's chapter 3, you will have access to the original Beyond the Harbour. And if you did read it or you did watch the videos, you'll know why I'm mentioning that. If you haven't done that, then I'm not going to explain why, but some of the stuff in this chapter will read a little different once you know what was going on there. But yeah, as always, I'm really enjoying this. There's some great art in it, and this story is really intriguing. I'm interested to find out exactly what's going on eventually. That won't be for a while. But I hope you did enjoy this one. And of course, the next time we get an update, I'll be doing another video for it. No worries on that. And speaking of updates, since someone did ask me, yeah, I will be continuing Eden's Reach when the new update comes out. A lot of stuff going on, real life for the devs, it's held it up. So that one will be coming along, so don't worry about that. If I ever do stop a series before we reach the end, I'll let you know what's happening and why. But that is just about it for now. As always, thanks to my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon, and my top patrons: Marcus, Evan King, Monolay, Sindri Dragowolf, Kopi, Spiderling, Grizz, Dissonance, Brandon Bradford, Anubis Silverwind, Ida Korval, Tiger Cub, Gunnar Muller, Brian Hall, Bastion, Lark Huskerton, Esuksu, Kubas Visser, Kartek, and Burnt Toast. You really help with the making of these videos, and it's very much appreciated. And if you can just lend your eyeballs and ears to this, that's also fine. Don't worry about it. I appreciate the fact you're all watching. As I said, there will be more Liar coming up on the weekend, so we'll be a return in there. And then we'll find out what happens the weekend after, because I haven't done the schedule yet. We'll figure it out eventually. But for now, thanks for watching. Bye for now.